The Tennis Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Unark Fantasy. Sign up with Unark Fantasy with the promo code SGPN to get a $1,000 bonus credit. We're also brought to you by EdgeBoost. Get up to $50 per month in cashback rewards by signing up with EdgeBoost, EdgeBoost at edgeboost.net. Use the promo code SGPN. And welcome, everybody, to the Tennis Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It is currently Saturday night, roughly 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time on March 22nd. I'm Rosso Scott Reichel once again going solo for this pod. Time to get into the third round, or in other words, the round of 32 in Miami. We're going to break down the upcoming matches for the next day or so. Not going to cover all the matches, going to cover some, so similar to the format that we had for the last episode. And as a result, we are going to once again save some plays for the lock and dog pick. We also are going to cover a decent portion of the matches that you're going to see. Don't have lines on some, though, so apologies there, but it is what it is. Looking forward to breaking down these matches. Before we get into the actual breakdown of the round of 32, do have to recap what happened in the last round, starting off with the lock and dog picks. Overall, a great episode. Ended up sweeping the lock and dog. For the lock, we hit Chikata team total under 8.5 games at minus 130 as he took on Djokovic and he got destroyed. Or I should say he got destroyed in the first set. Very weird match as Chikata did lose in straight sets, but he lost the first set 6-0. Then he eventually did win 6 games in the second set, but lost in a tie break. So either way, nice win for us as Chikata finished with 6. So can't complain there. Nice win there for the lock. For the dog, nice win as well, as we had Hallis and Musetti over 2.5 sets at plus 145. Wasn't the easiest. Musetti had a bunch of chances to win the second set easily, and he blew them, but then eventually did get the job done there in the tie break in the second set. Then he won the match, as he won the third set as well. I want to say Hallis double faulted on the final 2 points of the second set breaker, but either way, point is nice win there for the dog. Great price at plus 145, so nice sweep for us. As for the other matchups that we want to talk about in the second round, overall, a great episode, even with the actual picks that we did not give out for the lock and dog. We got a lot of it right, for the actual round. For the first match, we thought Kikmanov was alive against Ruud, did like the over 2.5 sets that got there. Thought Musetti once again would have a marathon against Hallis. They got there too. Thought Khachanov winning straight sets against Kyrgios, and we saw Kyrgios basically quit after losing the first set in a breaker as he punted the second set, messed around, and lost 6-0. Ended up seeing Medvedev lose in straight sets to Munar. Did not get that one right, but if you bet the under, you won that accidentally, but still a nice win anyway. Medvedev just has been a clown for a while at this point, and he was complaining about the actual tennis balls being used, saying they're not up to par. Look, man, nobody cares. Like, you got to win some matches at some point. You haven't won a title in 2 years. Like, at least acknowledge that you could be playing better instead of blaming the external forces of the tournaments you play in. Just play better. You lose 6-2, 6-3 to Munar. 5 games. You couldn't win 6 games against Munar. Yeah, so Medvedev once again was a clown, and he ended up losing in the second round. So Tsitsipas outlast Sang as he won in 3 sets. Thought Monfils would have a marathon against Leheshka. Got that one right as Monfils did win in 3. Joker, we called once again to dominate as Chikata went under the team total. Thought Tabilo and Mutet. I'm trying to remember if we covered that match or not. I know I like the over 2.5 sets there. I don't remember if I talked about it, though. But I know that I thought it was going to be a chaotic match, and Mutet was teasing the crowd that was there. That was Chilean, and it didn't matter, as Mutet eventually did lose anyway. Ended up seeing Paul and Bublik go 3, which we called. Thought Bublik would keep the match close. He did, and Paul did eventually outlast him in 3 sets. And probably the best call that we had of the entire round, we called Goffin to keep it very competitive against Alcaraz. We thought 6.5 games was insanely disrespectful, and Goffin, who had been good against Alcaraz in the past, thought he'd keep it close. Did I think he would win? No, he did not. But Alcaraz was like minus 2,000, and he lost outright in his first match in Miami. Nice job by Goffin, who ended up getting the upset after losing the first set. Came back and he won the third set, 6-3. Great job by Goffin, though. We called the plus games. That worked out well for us. But Alcaraz, he really has underachieved since Sinner got suspended. And Sinner, looking around, has to be thrilled because he really didn't lose any ground in anybody. Because since he's been suspended, we saw Zverev fall off a cliff. Alcaraz, I know he won in Rotterdam, but he's been underwhelming since. Really, nobody has stepped up. And as a result, Sinner should be looking forward to his return in Rome because he's the number 1 player in the world, in my opinion, by a wide margin. I know Alcaraz can beat him in the head-to-head, but based on consistent results, Sinner is easily number 1 in the world. And with him being gone, there was an opportunity there for a bunch of people to step up. Draper did. I know he eventually did lose. I'll get into that match in a second. But the point is, though, Draper did win the 1,000 title in Indian Wells. You've seen a couple guys step up. Alcaraz was not one of those guys. So really disappointing showing by Alcaraz for the last couple of weeks with Sinner being gone. But either way, nice win for Goffin. Definitely a shock but nice job by the veteran to kind of show a young guy the ropes again. Anyway, for the matchups that we ended up seeing on Saturday, saw Walton beat Darderi in straight sets after Hurkacz dropped out. Saw Shelton lose to Wong in a pretty shocking upset there. Shelton just being an absolute clown. There was a video going around of him potentially taunting Wong by doing some Asian, like, slanted eye jokes, and I can't really tell if that's what he was going for, but not a great look, especially when you lose the match anyway to a guy ranked 182 in the world. But the point is, Shelton did lose the first set and the third set via breaker, and he actually broke back when Wong was serving for the match, and then eventually did end up losing the breaker anyway. But the main controversy going around that match was Shelton doing some potential Asian slanted eye gestures, so we'll see what happens there, but it didn't look great. I'll put it that way when I saw the video of that on Twitter. Moving on, though, to the other matches we ended up seeing today. Saw Zverev beat Fernley in straight sets. Saw Fritz beat Sonego in straight sets. Magic beat Arnaldi in 3 good win there. Thompson, we thought would end up beating Perricard. Thought that there was a chance to beat a couple breakers, and it was, as he did win 7-6, 7-6. Saw Shapo beat Tarante in a final set breaker. Fun match there. Saw Mensik beat Draper in straight sets in 2 breakers. So either way, point is Draper, we ended up losing for the outright in the first quarter and for the event. So not great there. All 4 semifinalists, though, from Indian Wells lost in the first match in Miami. So fatigue definitely played a factor. It's also Fulham beat Pyron in 3. So Pelka beat Rune in 3. Thought Rune would win, but we did like the over 2.5 sets in that one. Fonseca, great showing against Humbert. Nice straight set win there. Saw Bergs beat Rublev in straight sets. Saw Berrettini beat Gaston in 3. Tiafoe ended up outlasting Fekina 7-5, 7-6. And right now, de Minaur is up a set in his match against Boo. And Fies is serving for the first set against Diallo. So once again, the main news points here is Medvedev losing again, as he's a head case, and it is Alcaraz being upset. He was favored to win the event. We passed on him. I know Draper lost too. A lot of fatigue after Indian Wells, but the point is you ended up seeing Alcaraz lose to Goffin, who was in really bad form a couple months ago. Been playing better lately, but not like nearly the top 10 form he used to be in for Goffin. So a really bad loss by Alcaraz, which was basically the main talking point of the entire second round. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for the recap of the second round. Want to remind once again that it's can't support for the show because you can like and subscribe on YouTube. Reminder, you also leave a rating and a review on Spotify or Apple. The podcast you can find either on YouTube, simulcasted on SGPN's Twitter account, or you can also find it on Spotify or Apple after I edit and post it. But no matter how you consume the podcast, don't forget to leave some feedback, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the YouTube channel because we are trying to get to 900 subscribers by, I'd say, the end of April, and that's a pretty solid goal for us. I know that right now we are in the, I want to say 850s, so hopefully you can help us get there in the near future. Plus, a reminder, check out the actual merch store on the SGPN website. We have a lot of great Tennis Game Podcast merch with sweatshirts, t-shirts, and mugs. We also have a lot of different shows in the network that have merchandise as well. For example, the MLB Gambling Podcast also has some shirts as well. But check out the merch store. A lot of great overall content there, and definitely cheap and very comfortable. So anyway, before we get into anything else, I remember once again, we're brought to you by DraftKings. DraftKings is the place to bet on college basketball and March Mania. One thing is for sure, nothing is for sure. Upsets, buzzer beaters, Cinderella's advancing, top seeds going home early. It's all going to happen. St. John's, for example, as they lost to Calipari in Arkansas. Bet the unexpected every day with DraftKings Sportsbook with live betting, exclusive content, promos, and parlays. DraftKings is the ultimate college basketball destination for March. First time, here's something special for you. New customers can bet $5, get $200 in bonus instantly. And a reminder that you can do that by using DraftKings Sportsbook, download the app with code SGP. Code SGP for new customers to get $200 in bonus instantly when betting just $5 only on DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Rhythm is the home for AI picks and props. Rhythm's already doing a great job with the March Madness bracket. Once again, you can build your own custom models, and it's easy and very profitable to do. And I believe somebody on Rhythm was using it for their bracket to actually create the bracket, not spread related. And Rhythm was 30-2 in the first round. with their straight-up plays. So Rhythm, once again, if you've been using them for your bracket's probably doing very well in your actual tournament field. Either way, though, you can sign it up. You sign up for an account for free for 7 days by using the link sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Welcome back, everyone, to the Tennis Game Podcast. Finish recapping the second round. Time to move on into the round of 32. So, a reminder, once again, not going to cover all matches. We're going to cover some for the upcoming day or so. Starting off with the Felix match against Musetti. You have Felix at around -181. You have Musetti at +156. For the spread, -2.5 for Felix. You have +2.5 for Musetti. For the over in games, 22.5 at -119. Under is a -101. For the actual set spread for this matchup, you have Felix winning straight sets at around +160. Musetti to win straight sets at 3-1. The over 2.5 sets is around +130. For the head-to-head history, they have faced off before, faced off in the Olympics, actually, in the bronze medal match, and Musetti did win that one in 3. However, Felix has done well before that, as that was actually the first time that Musetti ended up winning 2 of the first 3. Then Felix went on a bit of a run there, and Musetti did win the most recent meeting, which took place last year. That was the only meeting that took place after 2022. So once again, these meetings are pretty old, but the head-to-head is very close. It is currently 3-3, so you're looking at what should be a pretty close battle. Now, Felix so far in the event has been fine. He ended up beating School Cat 6-4, 6-4. Musetti had the marathon win against Hallis, where he came back from a set down. For this one, give me the over 2.5 sets. I see a close matchup here. I think both guys with different play styles can definitely have moments. Musetti, we know, likes to stand far back on the court, will force mistakes from the opponent by keeping the ball in play, and Felix, we know, can definitely have moments where unforced errors are an issue. I don't mind the over in this one. I think you'll see a close matchup. I do like the over for 2.5 sets. I think Felix will win eventually, but give me a close one. I think you're going to end up seeing a very, very physical and just grueling battle that I think Felix does eventually survive, but give me the over as my main thought for that one. Moving on to the next matchup, you have Korda against Tsitsipas. For this one, Tsitsipas is a decent favorite. He's about -170. You have Korda at +150. For the spread, -2.5 for Tsitsipas, +2.5 for Korda. The over-under in games is set at 23.5. For the set spread, you have Tsitsipas in straight sets at +130. You have Korda to win a set of -160. The over 2.5 sets is +145. Now, Tsitsipas winning in Dubai has been fine. I mean, he ended up losing the third round in Indian Wells after beating Seabold Wild and Berrettini. Then he went to Miami and ended up beating Sang in 3, which was not an easy match. Sang was a very, very interesting young player who I know is great in juniors, who's been kind of trying to find himself in the regular ATP tour. But the point is he's still young, he's talented, and Tsitsipas was able to beat him in 3. As for Korda, he had a nice showing against Spizzirri, who I think is fine. Like, I don't think he's great or anything. He's more of a challenger guy. But I think Korda looked good, but it was weak competition. I think Sang is better than Spizzirri if I had to compare the two of them. So kind of tough for me to make the case for Korda. I think the games is there for Tsitsipas, in my opinion. You could argue Korda has the overall, I'd say, consistency to force mistakes from Tsitsipas and eventually find a way to win a set and maybe more. But I don't see much value on that. I think Korda has played one match recently, didn't really get challenged at all, but Spizzirri is a challenger guy, and you saw Tsitsipas look good before this event as he lost to Rune, who made it all the way to the final in Indian Wells. But he beat Berrettini in straight sets, made a deep title run in Dubai. He's played well for the most part. I think Tsitsipas will look better in this one. Give me Tsitsipas in what could be a competitive match, but I'll take the games here. I think that if it goes 3, Korda might run out of gas stamina-wise, so give me Tsitsipas to cover the spread in this one. Checking the comment section, though. Quickly see Greg stopping by. Nice to see you again. What's up, Leonard? Nice to see you too. See Ian come back. Definitely enjoying hopefully enjoy the shirt. Definitely comfortable. Recommend getting yourself something there. See Johnson messaging me too. I know he's constantly involved in the live stream. So welcome back. Nice to see you too. Once again, definitely recommend, and Ian agrees that the shirt is very comfortable, very light. That was one thing that surprised me about the shirt, is that I was surprised by how light the fabric actually was. Very comfortable. So recommend getting yourself something there. Anyway, moving on to the next match we're going to talk about. Once again, we are skipping some matches here and there, so apologies if you were expecting one, I'd say, match we're going to talk about. For this one, we're going to go into the Munar and Monfils match. For this one, Monfils is around minus 175. You have Munar plus 155. For the spread, you have -3 for Monfils, +3 for Munar. The over-under in game is set at 22.5. For the set spread, you have Monfils in straight sets at plus 130. Munar to win a set at minus 160. Now, we saw Monfils win a couple of marathons in the first 2 rounds, beat Morozin in 3, and beat Leheshka in a final set breaker. As for Munar, he's been coasting, beat Rinderknech in straight sets, and beat Medvedev with whatever the hell that performance was by Medvedev. Now, I understand the head-to-head is currently a single match on hard court back in 2018, as Monfils did beat Munar in the Australian Open in straight sets. But that was dated about 7 years ago. Can't really use it. Now, I understand Munar's been better on hard court this year than most years. I think Monfils, though, is the better player, obviously. We know Medvedev hated the overall balls on the Miami courts. I think Monfils will be more comfortable. I think he should win. The question is, where's the value for this actual matchup? I would make the argument for Monfils maybe -2.5 games, but I can see Munar keeping it somewhat interesting for maybe a set. But I think Monfils does win. The issue has been him dropping sets, so I maybe would not mind going for Munar to win a set. I don't think that's a bad read. I think Munar can win the match in theory. I think Monfils eventually will outlast him. But can I see Munar potentially winning a set? I can. I mean, Monfils dropped a set in the first 2 rounds. So I think Munar can keep this close. I think Monfils wins, but I don't maybe mind the over, 2.5 sets at plus 130. Maybe not a strong opinion on the match. I'm probably going to pass on it, but I think that Monfils is going to win, but not easily, as Munar looks very comfortable in the courts here. Give me Munar to at least do a little bit of damage, and I don't mind Munar plus the 1.5 sets here at minus 160. Moving on to the next matchup. We're going to talk about the matchup between you know what? We'll go with Ruud and Tabilo for this one. Ruud is a decent favorite. Ruud is around minus 293. You have Tabilo at plus 243 for the spread, -3.5 for Ruud, plus 3.5 for Tabilo. For the over-under in games at 22.5. For the set spread, you have Ruud in straight sets at plus 105. You have Tabilo to win a set at minus 135. The over 2.5 sets is plus 145. Now, Tabilo had a really bad start to the year. Been playing better lately, though. We saw him beat Moutet in 3 in his first match here. Did lose in 3 to Fritz, so he was looking better as he was able to beat Lajovic in the first round of Indian Wells. But the point is, Ruud, we know, can be a bit inconsistent. He did lose in the first round in Indian Wells to Giron. Was struggling a bit after making a deep run in Dallas, but he was able to beat Kekmanovic in 3. And that has been a very competitive head-to-head. So nice win there by Ruud. For this one, I think the value is only on the straight sets for Ruud. I'm not saying he's going to actually get there, but I think you're looking at plus 105 being too good to pass up on. Tabilo was able to beat Moutet, who's been bad lately. He's also a head case. Now, the concern for Ruud is the crowd, because you saw Tabilo get a ton of support, and that's why Moutet had this crazy kind of, I don't want to say outburst because it happened multiple times. He had this crazy dynamic brewing with the crowd because they were very pro-Chilean. So we'll see how the crowd responds in this one, but I think that Ruud is the better player. I think Ruud should look sharper. But plus 105, I think is a good deal. So I'll go with that as my thoughts on this one, mostly for the price. Faced off 2 times in their careers, both times on clay. I know Ruud's best surface on clay, so is Tabilo's, to be fair. And Ruud did win both meetings in straight sets, and one was last year in Monte Carlo. I think it's a bad matchup for Tabilo. Give me Ruud in this one in straight sets at plus money. Moving on to the matches we're going to talk about on this is a Monday. So for the actual odds, we have Zverev against Thompson. For this one, Zverev's minus 500. Thompson is plus 350. Weird head-to-head history. Face off in Los Cabos last year, and you saw Thompson win in 3. Then you saw an immediate rematch, or I should say rematch a couple months later, and Zverev did beat Thompson in Montreal 6-1, 6-1. However, the matchups have been close. Thompson has won at least one set in 3 of the 4 career meetings, but Zverev did win the last meeting 6-1, 6-1. Now, he looked great in his match against Fernley, and we do have him to win the quarter and the event, so we are happy to see Zverev look good. Thompson looked fine as he was able to beat Perricard in straight sets, and he beat Giron in 3. Perricard, though, did not return well, and I just think that Zverev has been just a pretty interesting matchup for Thompson in the past, where it has been competitive. But I think for this one, I'm going to go with Zverev. I think he'll win in straight sets. Maybe a breaker in there. Maybe the over. I'll go 7-6, 6-3 if I have to guess. But I like how Zverev played. Seems focused. Give me Zverev in straight sets in this one. Thompson's been good. I question the competition level, so I'll go with Zverev into this spot to win in straight sets. Moving on to what could be one of the matches of the day. You have Opelka against Makic. For this one, it's actually a rematch of the Australian Open that we ended up seeing as they faced off in one of the earlier rounds, and Makic won in 5 sets. Now, for the recent form, Opelka beat Rune in 3, and he beat Eubanks in straight sets. As for Makic, ended up beating Arnaldi in 3 sets. For this one, I see a pretty similar script to what we ended up seeing in the Australian Open matchup, which is a very competitive and very long match. I like the over. I like the breakers. I see a lot of, once again, holds, maybe not many breaks, if any breaks. I think Makic wins. I think he's better than Opelka, but I do think you're going to end up seeing a marathon breakout. It's going to be the over 2.5 sets, and I am going to go with the over as well for the first set. Maybe 10.5 games, 12.5 games. I see a breaker early on, and what could be another 7-6, 7-6 final. But give me Makic to get the job done in this one, and the over for the games. Moving on to the next one. The last match we're going to talk about, you have Fritz against Shapo. Now, Fritz is a decent favorite as he's roughly minus 200. Shapo is around plus 163. Now, Shapo has actually been good. Quite good in the head-to-head. He's currently 6-4 lifetime against Fritz. Face off actually this year in Dallas, and Shapo 1-3 en route to winning the title. Face off in Miami 2 years ago, and Fritz did win in straight sets. So Fritz did beat him on the courts here about 2 years ago. But the point is, Shapo seems to have found his form again, and you have seen Fritz look a bit underwhelming lately. Beat Sonego in straight sets. There was a breaker in there, though. Lost to Draper. Indian Wells did go 3 against Tabilo. Had a competitive match against Gigante in the first round. Won in straight sets, but still not a great fan of the form, in my opinion, for, once again, Fritz. So I'm going to go with the dog here. Give me Shapo. We have him to win the quarter at a great price, but I think you're looking at the head-to-head being in favor of Shapo at 6-4, leaving the door open for a potential live dog here at around plus 163. I'll take that for this one. Give me a close matchup. I don't mind the over 2.5 sets as well. But give me Shapo in this one to keep the match very competitive, maybe win it outright as the value play for this one. Anyway, let's go wrap it up for the third round of Miami. Now it's time for the lock and dog picks. For that, once again, they're brought to you by our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy, because you can build Underdog Pick'ems entries, and if you do that, you can win up to 100 times your money. For the actual promo that we have with Underdog, sign up with the promo code SGPN to claim a special first time deposit offer for 1K bonus cash. Underdog Fantasy promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Edge Boost. A reminder that Edge Boost is the previous debit card for bettors, and you could also use it to avoid being hassled by having your card denied at the sportsbook or DFS site, so your card will not get denied if you use it at the actual sportsbook. Plus, you can earn up to $70 per month in cash rewards by using the Edge Boost card. Money safe as the card is FDIC insured and best partner credit checks. It's completely free. Sign up today at edgeboost.bet. Promo code SGPN. Once again, sign up today at edgeboost.bet. Promo code SGPN. Welcome back, everyone, to the Tennis Game Podcast. Finished breaking down the third round. Now it's time for the lock and dog picks. For the lock, I'm going to go with the matchup that we skipped between Dimitrov and Khachanov. Could be the match of the round. We are going to go with Dimitrov, team total over 12.5 games here at minus 130. Same bets available at minus 165 on Bet365. So you're getting a great price shopping around as you can save 35 cents. Now, Dimitrov has had a couple of marathon matches against Khachanov in the past. In fact, most of them have been marathons. Dimitrov has gone over this team total in 4 of the 5 career head-to-head meetings. On top of that, Khachanov's had a couple of very competitive sets lately. There's been a 7-5 or 7-6 set in 3 of Khachanov's last 4 matches. Dimitrov, though, is minus 125. Slight favorite, basically a coin flip. They're expecting a very close battle. I agree. I think Khachanov will serve well enough to force maybe a breaker. I think Dimitrov might end up outlasting him to win the match. But a couple ways to get there. If he wins with a 7-5 or 7-6, you basically win automatically, assuming there's no retirement. And if he ends up losing, actually, in a competitive third set, you probably still win. So a couple ways to get there. If you want to go Dimitrov money line instead, I don't hate it, but I chose the team total instead because I do think there was a path for Dimitrov to get to the team total while losing in what could be a very, very competitive third set. So the lock, once again, will be Dimitrov team total over 12.5 games at minus 130. For the dog, though, I'm going to go to the other match we skipped between Cerundolo and Paul. For this one, give me the over 2.5 sets at plus 145. So this is solely based on head-to-head history. As they faced off a ton in the past, 6 career meetings in the head-to-head. Every meeting has not ended in straight sets. 6-0 to the over 2.5 sets when they face off against each other, or the over 3.5 sets in Grand Slams. The point is these guys kill each other, and I do see another war that should be brewing between the two of them. Paul also went to a third set against Bublik in the last round, so Paul's been fine, not exactly looking his sharpest in this event. We know Cerundolo can be streaky, but historically speaking, when you have a play at plus 145, that's 6-0 in the head-to-head, I'm going to take it. I like the value too much. So that's going to be on Caesars at plus 145. Give me the over 2.5 sets there in the Paul match. So once again, the plays for the third round of Miami, the lock's going to be on Dimitrov team total over 12.5 games at minus 130 against Khachanov. For the dog, give me the over 2.5 sets in the Cerundolo and Paul match. Let's wrap it up for this episode. Check in the comment section quickly. See Ian stopping by. Once again, thanks for checking it out. Thank you for also purchasing a shirt, and I'm glad you like it. But a reminder, also doing the NBA show and the MLB show. Actually just recorded an episode with Lonte about an hour ago. So if you want some off-season stuff, don't forget to check it out as the MLB season does start officially on opening day for Thursday. I know technically you had 2 games played already, but opening day's on Thursdays. If you want some baseball content, don't forget to check out the MLB Gambling Podcast. Anyway, until next time, I'm on Twitter Radio, and good luck to all of you and all of your bets. Bye, everyone.